It was another whirlwind week in America with a lot of the drama coming from our elected leaders. Here's just a taste.
We pledge to you that we will root out the communists, Marxists, fascists, and the radical left thugs that live like vermin within the confines of our country.
Increasingly alarming messaging from criminal defendant and GOP current frontrunner Donald J. Trump.
I've been at the job less than 3 weeks, right? I can't turn an aircraft carrier overnight.
There will be no government shutdown. The Republican-led House needed Democratic votes.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on. Oh, stop it.
Is that your solution, everybody?
No, sit down. Sit down. Okay. You're a United States Senator. Sit down.
Active.
Oh, okay. Sit down, please.
I just concluded several hours of meetings with President Xi, and I believe they were some of the most constructive and productive discussions we've had.
There's nobody I'd rather discuss this week with than presidential historian Michael Beschloss. Michael, I would actually like to start with Donald Trump. He invoked the language of Hitler, the language of Mussolini this week. What went through your mind when you heard this?
Well, a lot sure did. And in fact, before I answer, could I mention something that's a historical milestone for this program? And that's, of course, as Stephanie mentioned last night, the departure of our executive producer, Lauren Peikoff. As you know very well, Lauren is shrewd and she's smart and she's compassionate. She's had so much to do with the success of the 11th hour with Stephanie Ruhle. Soon she'll be doing new vistas of leadership at MSNBC. So with your permission, could we dedicate this, her last segment, to our friend Lauren and close down the age of Peikoff for the 11th hour?
Absolutely. She would love that.
Got a deal.
So,
in any case, you were talking about to go from the lovely end of the spectrum, which is Lauren, to what Donald Trump has said. You know, using language like vermin and the other things that have been said by him this week, this is different from anything that we've seen from him before, if that is even possible. And in history, if you look at Hitler, if you look at Mussolini, if you look at other dark leaders in history, people who have appealed to the darkest impulses in human nature, genocide oftentimes, this is how it started, by singling out groups and saying that they are things like vermin. I have to tell you, Simone, I never thought I would ever live to hear a former president, and I hope not a future president, say such a thing.
You know, 3 days after those comments, Senator Markwayne Mullin, he threatened to physically fight the Teamsters president during a hearing. We just played a piece of it. Have you ever seen Congress in a state like this?
No. Well, actually, yes. Not personally, but, you know, I'm a historian, but I've not been around quite that long. Thinking of the 1850s and the period that led into that. And that was the time of the Civil War, when there was anger in this country and emotions were running very high. And you saw that in Congress with people beginning to turn to physical violence. That happened in the 1850s. We've seen glimmers of it now today. I hope we don't see anything that approaches civil war in the next year, but this country is roiling.
The country is roiling, Michael. You know, the war between Israel and Hamas, it is creating tension on our very soil. On Wednesday, police and pro-Palestinian protesters, they violently clashed outside of the Democratic National Committee headquarters right here in Washington, D.C. How alarmed are you by this division that seems to have gripped the country?
We've been through divisions like this before and have emerged, believe it or not, stronger for it. These have been painful times. This has been a very painful month for all sorts of reasons. But I would just completely, remind everyone, if they need to be reminded, which they probably don't, peaceful protest, even if we disagree with it, is a hallmark of American life. That's what our soldiers and our founders fought for. And as long as it is peaceful and as long as it remains respectful of everyone in this society, I think the thing to think about is this. You were talking about the language that Donald Trump used, which is the language of fascism. the language of a country where a dictator squashes any kind of dissent with his policies. If we lose our democracy a year from now, we're not going to have the chance for peaceful protest, because if there's a military dictatorship, as Donald Trump has hinted he wouldn't mind, where there's not going to be a chance for anyone to oppose what a president does. Let's preserve the democracy and then fight it out.
You know, Michael, this week we saw President Biden meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping, and it was the polar opposite, I would say, of what we saw during the Trump administration. During this meeting, the two world leaders discussed a range of topics, including military cooperation and Taiwan. What were your biggest takeaways from this meeting?
Well, this is going to be a tumultuous year, not least between the United States and China, because this is now a new Cold War. I wish it were not, but in many ways it is. You know, very fierce competition between the two most powerful countries and the two most powerful leaders on Earth. The danger of this last year has been that, you know, you have talked about, and I've heard you talk about, and we've all talked about, for instance, there have been things like near misses of Chinese aircraft with American aircraft, other signals that might suggest to the other side that there is about to be something a lot more fierce and military. If you at least have the two leaders meeting, the ability of Joe Biden, as he said, you know, to pick up the telephone if there's a question and call up the leader of China and say, you know, if there is something like this, do you mean this? You can get this back into the channels of, you know, more normal competition. Time of the Cuban Missile Crisis, John Kennedy, 1962, there were planes that accidentally flew into Soviet airspace, and the opposite. And Kennedy was able to say, he was able to get a message to the Soviet leader, Nikita Khrushchev, we assume that you're not trying to start World War III. Let's make sure it doesn't happen. And we avoided the deaths of probably 50 million people as a result. We could see the same thing here.
The meeting was significant. Michael Beschloss, thank you so much, my friend. Very good to see you.
Thank you. Loved it. Thank you, my friend.